Welcome to this discussion. Call me Harold. For today's video, I wanted to focus on another important issue with a quick take on a political tactic being used here in the cancel student debt proposal, and present an argument that this is a bad faith commitment to the many people that are struggling with real financial problems. Before we go on, I'm not employed in politics, journalism, or academia, and I do not represent either party or any candidate. My positions are my own and chosen without regard to political affiliation. I register as an independent except when I feel compelled to participate in the primaries. I am and will be critical of both political parties and sides of the political spectrum. I believe the split between both sides is a rising destructive influence in this country. So let's begin. So by now, you've probably heard about this proposal by Bernie Sanders and supported by other Democratic voices a couple of days ago. If you haven't, they're essentially suggesting that it is time to forgive the over $1.6 trillion in student debt out there. Many people have shared their opinions on the merits of this proposal, so I don't really want to focus there. I mostly want to focus on the political grandstanding that is going on here and why I feel this approach is actually quite brilliant. I also want to say I do agree with many stances held by Democratic nominees. For instance, free college is a great idea if it's going to lead to a good job for the student. I was making so little money when I first went to college myself, and I ended up getting college grants that helped pay for that. And now I'm paying about 3 times in taxes what I was making before. So overall, the government really won out there. There should also be zero interest on these loans. There's really no reason for us to continue to have any interest paid by them. In fact, if there needs to be interest because it's a loan, of course, the government should also consider paying that again. It's also their investment too. Payments can and should be deferred to provide more cushion before the payments kick in. Right now, the gap just doesn't seem quite long enough, especially when these people are just getting their lives started, and we should give them some more time. The pipeline also kind of seems broken. We have colleges that are wasting students' time with extra classes they don't need, and we don't really appreciate the value of trade and skill development nearly enough. We also have a lot of kind of a negative perception of community colleges, which provide a very affordable education, which actually gets you almost the same place and same jobs. Colleges also do exploit their students, at least I feel so, and while it may be the free market at work, most students are falsely sold promises from these big schools. If they pay $60,000, that somehow they're going to have a commensurately good job. I don't understand why this myth is out there and why students feel like they have to choose these big name schools. There also needs to be a lot more benefits that are kind of providing for students that stick with their jobs, and which is part of why the turnover rates are so high. There's no loyalty between the student and when they get that first job and the company. So they're always looking out for what's better for them, but we should reward them for staying with the same jobs and working and developing those skills so that they stick around. It saves employers money if they don't have to retrain new employees, and that person continues to show that loyalty as well. So I don't understand why more businesses are not offering this as a benefit. Anyways, the cancel student debt policy, and what I'm really bothered about is I don't actually believe that they're trying to make this happen. I think that they would, as opposed to many other great proposals that have come out of the Democratic Party, this one in particular makes no attempt to fix any ongoing problems. It's based on an emotional appeal. It was presented via news and social media rather than through actual legislation. And it really doesn't make any promise for future college students. So the people that have been diligent and paid off their loans, it gives them nothing as well. And I really think it's intentionally not meant to pass. It's not meant to happen. It's not economically feasible compared to the other solutions that have been proposed. So we could really be looking at something where they're making this promise and they may not even actually think it's going to succeed. So if you look at it this way, cancel student debt actually happens. Of course, the base is happy. The people that have their debt forgiven are happy. They love you. Everything's great. But if it doesn't happen, you still win. Because in this case, the Republican Party or whoever kind of opposes it, whoever denies this approach, is going to look like a bad guy. And so really, it's such an easy proposal to make without even having a true intent for it to succeed. I do applaud that because tactically, that is genius. You put yourself into a win-win. Nobody can beat that. I love it. That's why I feel like it's important to call it out, at least the possibility that this may be disingenuous. And what I hate here is that if that is true, if it's not really meant to succeed, then they're just exploiting people. These people are struggling with debt. They have all these problems. They can't pay their bills because they have these debts and they're getting collections and all this other stuff. And you're manipulating them. You're taking advantage of them just to pick a political stance. And so you get power to your base. They're not offering long-term solutions except in their campaign proposals, but that depends if they're going to become president or something. So I don't understand why there isn't like a comprehensive reform. If canceling debt after comprehensive reform became a proposal, I kind of might respect that more, because at that point it would make sense. So yeah, I applaud it. I think it's brilliant, but you kind of look like or at least the people that are supporting this kind of look like they're just trying to take advantage of people. But that's why it's important. We need to speak up. We need to call it out. We need to make sure that this group is making promises that it can keep, and that you're not just saying things to bring people to support you in the primaries or to fight against the Republicans and hate them even more. Because believe me, there's enough hate in politics right now. There's enough hate between the left and the right now. And there are communities that are trying to overcome that. They're trying to find common ground and trying to make relationships better. And so I do have hope, because I'm participating in some of those myself right now. But the really scary thing is, if this is allowed to continue, you're just furthering the divide. And that's really reprehensible if that's what's going on. So I do want to make a warning to anybody that's in politics or making these proposals right now. Do not overpromise. Do not say that you're going to do something, or that you can do something, or that you magically become king when you're elected and have all this power and can make all these changes. Half the country is already going to be against you if you win. You know, the Republicans are not going to be happy with an extreme progressive candidate if that candidate does not try to unify them as well. And while there's a lot of people on both sides who might like candidates like Bernie, that they do need to watch out that they make promises that they can fulfill, and that they say, we want to consider this. We want to think about it. We should explore this option. Not that they're making concrete overpromises. Because what's going to happen is, if you make promises that you can't fulfill, you're already going to have half the country against you. And then your base is going to turn against you too. The people that voted for you are going to turn against you too. And if everybody hates you, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be scary. We don't want to see, the next, 4-year cycle looking like that. And we do need to come together as a country. We need to support each other. And so be careful. Avoid just being inflammatory. Avoid attacking. I might almost rather have Trump win the next election if this is going to be what the Democratic Party is stooping to just to win power. And I know there's some desperation involved. I kind of understand that. But it's something that we really need to consider strongly about how we want to move forward as a country and what promises we want to make. So yeah, if that is something that compels you, if that makes you speak out, or anybody here that might, actually watch this, I don't really have a voice out there, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about what promises should be made in politics. I'm not saying either side doesn't do this, doesn't make promises that they don't fulfill. My next video, I'm actually want to talk about why Trump and supporting him in the next election is probably a bad idea, even if you're a Republican or conservative. I think the toxicity is actually going to backfire. And it's going to hurt more in the long run, rather than letting somebody that's more progressive or somebody like that take over for the next steps. So thanks for watching. Remember, everyone, speak out, share your thoughts, but don't forget to love each other.